Hey everyone, thanks for being here. I'm Ronald, excited to chat about Leviticus chapters 22 and 23 today. They're filled with history and spirituality, and here's a fun fact. Now, Leviticus is God's guidebook for his newly redeemed people. It shows the Israelites how to worship God, how to serve God, how to obey God. But did you notice that there's no geographical movement in Leviticus? The Israelites remained at Mount Sinai the entire time. Also, Leviticus contains very little narrative. It consists almost entirely of regulations for governing the relationship between God and the Israelites. Let's get into it. 23 verse 1 to 3. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to Aaron and his sons that they separate themselves from the holy things of the children of Israel, and that they do not profane my holy name by what they dedicate to me. I am the Lord. Say to them, whoever of all your descendants throughout your generations who goes near the holy things which the children of Israel dedicated to the Lord, while he has uncleanliness upon him, that person shall be cut off from my presence. I am the Lord." Now, the priests of Israel often dealt with things that had been declared holy. The altar, the table of the showbread, the golden lampstand, and the altar of incense were all holy things. But they did not belong to the priests. They belonged to the Lord. So there was a sense of separation from the holy things that the priests had to observe. To fail to do so was to profane God's holy name. Chapter 22 focuses on maintaining the purity and sanctity of offerings dedicated to God. The Lord instructs Moses to speak with Aaron and his sons, urging them to abstain from holy things if they are unclean. This highlights the symbolic separation between God's holiness and human impurity. The purification before handling sacred objects or food symbolizes a deeper spiritual cleansing, representing a return to a state of grace and readiness to serve God. Also, there are the requirements for sacrifice, emphasizing that only the best sacrifices are acceptable to God. The emphasis on unblemished offerings also carries a symbolic meaning. An offering without blemish signifies that the worshiper's intention to give God their best, reflecting a heart of devotion and reverence. The perfection of the sacrifices symbolizes the wholeness and purity that the worshiper aspires to achieve in their relationship with God. Verses 10 to 13 discuss who can partake in the holy offerings. It stipulates that no layperson, foreign guest, or a hired worker may eat the holy things. However, an enslaved person bought by a priest may eat of it, as may anyone born in his house. Now, this sets boundaries within the community, distinguishing between those who are part of the priestly family and those who are not. Leviticus chapter 23 details 7 specific feasts or holy convocations that the Israelites are to observe in addition to their weekly Sabbath. 1, the Passover. This feast commemorates the Lord's Passover, where God passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt when he struck down the Egyptians. It symbolizes deliverance from slavery and the protection provided by the blood of the Lamb. Number 2, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. This feast lasts 7 days, during which unleavened bread is eaten. Now, it symbolizes the haste with which the Israelites left Egypt, not having time for their bread to rise. It also represents purity and the removal of sin. Number 3, the Feast of First Fruits. Now, this feast involves bringing the sheaf of the first fruits of the harvest to the priest, who waves it before the Lord, and it symbolizes gratitude for the harvest and acknowledges God's provision. Number 4, the Feast of Weeks, also known as Pentecost. It is celebrated 50 days after the Feast of the First Fruits and involves presenting a grain offering, a new grain offering to the Lord. It symbolizes the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai and the harvest of the wheat. Number 5, the Feast of Trumpets. Observed as a day of solemn rest and memorial, proclaimed with the blast of trumpets. Now, it symbolizes the call to repentance and the beginning of the 10 days of an overwhelming feeling of reverence leading to the Day of Atonement, which is next, number 6, the Day of Atonement. This is held as a time of holy convocation and self-affliction, which means fasting, to make atonement before the Lord. It symbolizes the purification of the people and the reconciliation with God. And number 7, the Feast of Booths. This feast involves dwelling in booths to remember the Israelites' journey out of Egypt. It symbolizes the dependence on God during the journey and the gratitude for his provision. These festivals are constant reminders of God's past acts of salvation and an ongoing provision. Moreover, these chapters emphasize the importance of holiness, not only in offerings, but in the lives of the worshipers. The detailed laws about purity and offerings are not merely ritualistic, but tangible expressions of the worshipers' devotion and reverence toward God. They foster a sense of identity among the Israelites, setting them apart as God's chosen people, and creating a rhythm of life centered around God's presence and the commandments. That's it for today. May God bless you all. I hope to see you all next time when I will be continuing with chapters 24 and 25. Have a great day.